Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ok Xoomer. I'm your host, Aaron Lichtig, Xometry guy and former Jeopardy champion, and I'm here today with Winston Moy. Now, Winston is a CNC content creator and influencer, and he's also the director of content at Carbide3D. Welcome, Winston. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Aaron. It's great to be here.
Okay, so first, tell us about your day job at Carbide3D.
So the day job, it kind of varies, but when I was first hired, the intent was for me to do like 60% video, like 30% R&D, and 10% customer support. So I float between those three aspects of the company, but lately it's been shifting more and more into research development, a little bit of production, but it's a very broad assortment of tasks that I have, even though my official title is just director of content.
So how did you get your role at Carbide3D?
Well, it's a fun journey. It wasn't really the most direct. I was hired because prior to working at Carbide3D, I was doing CNC stuff on the side. I had purchased a Shapeoko 2 back when it was sort of in like the Kickstarter days where it was like you pre-order it. And so way back, I think at the beginning of 2014, I started my CNC journey fresh out of grad school with very, very little hands-on experience. And so I wanted to make things. And I figured I'd bring people along on the journey with videos because that was getting big. YouTube was kind of the rage. And I started with an unboxing video. I started making projects, started sharing them. All the while working during the day at the Navy as a civilian. And I just come home at night and just design stuff in Fusion or SolidWorks and knock it out on the CNC. And so that was kind of, for a couple of years, I did that. And then over time, I slowly started to gain an audience. Carbide3D took notice and they were like, hey, we see you're kind of getting bored at your day job and you like to make videos. We need videos. Do you want to come work for us? And I was like, sure. So they made me a job offer. They cornered me at Maker Faire and were like, hey, do you want this job? And I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
So they actually found you because of the social content that you were making.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the unorthodox way to go full time with your side hustle. Usually you're grinding along, you're doing your own thing until you build your own brand. And here I was kind of just hired and acquired. But I mean, it gave me the freedom to still make whatever I want and have fun doing it. Make whatever I want in the physical sense, project wise, but I would still have to make educational content, which I'm happy to do because I think manufacturing in general needs people to show other people like just what's involved with it, because I feel like CNC is something anyone can do, but there's a language to it that's kind of overwhelming if you're not willing to absorb information like a sponge. So the reason I left the Navy was because the effort reward cycle was really disconnected. You would work on a project for like 6 months, it would get shipped out to the fleet, and then like 6 months later, you'd get a pat on the back being like, hey, your product did really good. And here with the videos, I can put out a video and within minutes, I'll get people saying like, hey, like I learned something, thanks for that. And that for me is like kind of like the job well done. That's validation for what I do. So I don't know. I kind of really enjoy that process, and making videos is a big part of it.
Yeah, it's nice to get that feedback right away. Now, where should people go if they want to see some of your personal social work? I know you've got a couple of different places where you put out some pretty good content.
Yeah, so YouTube is probably the place where I'm mostly at because that's where I can sort of sink my teeth into longer form content. So if you just search me, Winston Moy, on YouTube, my channel is Winston Makes. Winston Makes is also my Instagram handle, and that's where I kind of share kind of work in progress stuff, and also just like the nice thumbnail once I have that project completed. So those two areas are pretty much where everything lives for me right now.
Okay, cool. What are some of your favorite personal projects that you've worked on for your YouTube channel?
The problem is, every time I make a project, I learn a new technique or something, and that really kind of makes me think like, oh, this project was awesome. But there's a couple standout ones along the way. One of them was a collab I did with DIY Engineering. It was a force activated beer tap with a lightsaber as the handle. So I machined the lightsaber out of wood. He did some electronic stuff with a IR sensor to read when your hand was held out, and that would trigger a servo to push the beer tap forward. So you'd put a cup under the tap and hold out your hand, and lights would come up and it would dispense beer. So that was a fun one. And there's a couple more along the way, like milling aluminum drink coasters or um, machining a knife for Carbide3D. That was a fun one because you touch on so many aspects of metallurgy, of selecting the right grade of steel, uh, sharpening, heat treating. Um, Honestly, any project where I get to sort of just deep dive into learning new techniques or learning about like the technical aspects of machining or any secondary process, I'm super happy to do that.
How did you get into machining and content creation in the first place?
Um, Honestly, it's because I was really bad at making things. I came out of grad school, I like kind of on the side, like I was tinkering, building things with like a Dremel, a drill, some basic hand tools. And when I came out of school, I was really struck by how much I wanted to make and how poorly I was able to do it because I didn't come from a family like my dad was never a woodworker. No one in my immediate family was an engineer. So I'm here trying to cobble together ideas, like just sanding away like bits of wood with a Dremel. And I'm like, I know there's technology out there that can do this so much better than me. So if I offload the hard work to a robot, that frees my mind to just dream up whatever the heck I want to make. And there were a lot of like content creators out there who are just building cool things with or without a CNC that I was really looking up to, like Bob from I Like to Make Stuff. There's a guy in Germany, Jorg Brave, who makes like these like plywood slingshots. Jimmy DeResta, like I'm seeing all these people on YouTube living their best life, and I'm just here struggling like with a file, trying to make a hole that's round. So I figured take the plunge into CNC, and the rest is history.
Awesome. Now, do you have anything coming up for your channel that is new or exciting that you want to tell people about?
I wouldn't say it's new, just because I'm working through a backlog. The pandemic kind of slowed everything down. I took a little break to just relax and recoup. Um, but I'm catching up on projects. There's some really cool uh, woodworking resin. I don't even know what to call it. It's a jewelry box that I made with some composite panels. I embedded some aluminum honeycomb in resin and then combined that with wood. So visually, it's a cool piece. But honestly, I'm kind of just winging it. I don't really know what's coming up for myself. I know I'm working on some fun projects that I want to share. One of them is so working for Carbide3D, I have access to a lot of the scraps. So I have random machine extrusions. I have a couple linear rails laying around. So I want to repurpose those and make my own uh, robotic camera slider. So I don't know. There's what I enjoy doing. It varies between woodworking to mechatronics. And so I got a couple projects coming out that fall somewhere along that spectrum.
Gotcha. What advice do you have for somebody in any field, but particularly in kind of making and engineering, who wants to turn their passion into like a YouTube channel or another type of social presence?
Uh, I mean, I'm going to channel my inner shy and just say, just do it. There's so much, like whether it's making a YouTube channel, whether it's woodworking, CNC, you can spin your wheels for an infinite amount of time in front of the computer, trying to learn, trying to talk to people, trying to figure out if it's for you. But until you take that first step and you just try it, there's a certain amount of knowledge and experience that you just won't get. So like for me, it's like until I tried to make a video, I could never figure out what I didn't like about video. So I'm never going to make better videos like unless I just keep iterating. Like coming from a standstill, there's only so much you can learn, so much you can do. There's a lot of subtlety and just experience you pick up on the job as you're doing things. So do your research before you jump into a field. But once you kind of stall out with your learning process, you really just need to experience it hands-on. That's the best way to get good at it. So yeah, don't do your research, but don't let yourself get paralyzed by the indecision of, am I like well enough equipped to take that first step? A lot of these trades, these crafts, these arts, they're meant to be approachable. Like regular people like you and I are doing them, not some like expert who's been doing it for 20 years. So anyone can jump into it. Once you equip yourself with the basic knowledge, don't worry about it. Just do it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's a great Nike slogan and a good slogan for anyone who wants to become a creator. Winston, thank you so much for joining us today. That was really great advice.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. And everybody, thanks for watching. We'll be back in another couple days with another episode of OK Xoomer. Stay safe and stay healthy. We'll see you soon.